1,
2,
3, let's go!
Is the lighting okay for you?
Yeah.
Alright, guys. This is a little different than most of the videos that you guys seen us do. But we have such deep conversations all the time, and I feel like what better way to get more close to you guys and have you guys get more close to us than to see like the things that go on through our minds.
Yeah.
And to kind of learn more about us, because I feel like in a vlog sometimes you can learn a lot, but there's a lot of things that are like not shown because like there's so much focus on like the cinematic versions of like throughout the city and stuff. So we wanted to just do a little bit more sit down videos and see if you guys would like this. Maybe not, but we want to experiment.
Yeah, plus I was saying to Isabel, like, I feel like vlogging is fun and some people like it, but I feel like things like this bring more value not only to us but to you, because we're talking about real issues, real things that we go through and experience as humans, all of us.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like this can like help someone out there. It helps us too, just getting our thoughts out. So I thought, why not kind of like move or like rebrand our YouTube a little bit and incorporate more of this.
Yeah. So today we wanted to talk about moving in together. Lord, that is a heavy one.
Heavy topic. We have a lot of explaining of ourselves. If you want to know more about us, we also have Instagram, by the way, where we post daily, and you can really learn more. And there's posts with specific information about us. But we have kind of an interesting story just because we started out long distance, and we were long distance for 3 whole years. So moving in together for us was a very, very big deal, just because we had been together for so long. But our moving together story was just like, it's just so different because we moved in together for the first time with Isabel's parents. So
Yeah.
we lived in different states, New York and Nebraska. I'm from Nebraska, moved to New York to live with her family. So that was technically like us moving in together. But a year ago, almost, we got our very first apartment where we moved to, unfortunately, the most expensive city in the world, New York City. So we have just had an interesting story. But yeah, we're about to hit our 1 year of living on our own and living in New York City.
Let's go. Didn't think
in
we'd
April.
make it at all.
Yeah,
But
but
we did.
here we are. But yeah, we just want to talk about kind of like what we've experienced in our first year, because I know there's a lot of you out there that are long distance. A lot of the lesbian girlies, the queer girlies, for some reason, why are we all long distance? Like, why do we all start out that way? I don't know. But
we
so
all love the U-Haul life.
Yes.
That is very much
except
a
we didn't
true
do that technically.
stereotype.
We didn't.
Yeah, I guess so. But
did
you
start
did
dating
fly
fastly.
out to see me 3 months into our relationship.
Okay, but like
Not really knowing each other.
we were friends for a year.
Yeah,
Okay.
but still, it could have went different
We
ways.
started dating very fastly. Oh yeah, but because there's so many of you that I know are U-haulers or just in the LGBTQ plus community, I feel like this could be a video that benefits you, just because moving in is a big deal. And I know a lot of people that follow us are always like saying like, oh, I can't wait for me and my girlfriend to move in together. So I know a lot of you can probably relate to this or look forward to this. And there's been like so many great moments. Like moving out on our own has probably been the best thing for us. But of course with that there's also struggles and things we experienced that weren't so fun.
I mean, you moved in. We were like at the end of the 3 years of being long distance, and things were not really going well in your home life. And you made the decision last minute to kind of come here upstate to be with my parents.
Yeah,
And that
you guys,
was
I
crazy.
went on a trip for my birthday, and I came back from that trip. On that trip, I was like, my best friend was like, maybe you should just move with Isabel. Like, you'd be so much happier. So I was texting Isabel, and her family has always been inviting in that way for me to move, but I just feel like a burden all the time.
It's a big jump.
It is a big jump, and it's like I'm living in someone else's household. It just didn't feel right to me. But when I was kind of like at rock bottom, that's when I kind of gave in and toyed around with the idea. I came back from that birthday trip and just talked to Isabel, and her parents were fine with it. And literally 2 weeks later, I moved and I bought a one-way ticket.
That's so crazy.
So crazy.
Me too.
I mean, living with her parents was probably one of the best experiences. I mean, like, they are very generous, even.
Shout out mom and dad, love you.
Yeah. Julie and Tony. So generous for them to even let me stay with them. Do you know how many people, especially in our community, that can't do this? Like, either one parent and one of the person situations are just not supportive, or whatever the case is. So we are very fortunate to have majority of our family support us as queer people. But yeah, it was really nice living there. Like, we had so much freedom, especially for not I don't know, just so much freedom for being a couple in a family's house. Like, we were able to share a room. We were able to work or not work. I did work full time. Isabel was in college still. But they didn't make me pay a cent of anything, and I think that's why I always felt so guilty sometimes living there. Like, for me, it was not the best living there just because of the way I was raised. Like, I just always felt bad for every single thing that I did, or just like eating dinner. I would be like, oh my gosh, I don't deserve this. And same with, like, if you were at school and I was there alone and like I wanted to, like, you know, like, woke up and it was like time for breakfast, like, I would be terrified to go out by myself because I just felt weird, like I'm eating someone else's food that they paid for, and they never made me, let me just say, they never made me feel that way. It's all just from how I was raised and some of the people in my life. But yeah, like, we had so much freedom, like,
so much.
We had a lot of fun too.
Yeah. And we went to a lot of things. We went to a lot of concerts, and we also, like, came to visit the city a lot just for fun, like, not even thinking that we were going to move here, but just going to concerts, coming here to take pictures for Instagram and stuff, like, and they just never really cared. I mean, there were some times that got, like, annoying, of course, like the typical, like, oh, where are you going? Like, why are you doing this? So I don't think you should go to this because COVID is this, and, like, things like that. But of course, like, they're just looking out for us. But looking back, like, we really had it good, and I think obviously after being long distance for 3 years, that was really helpful for us to be able to be together and, like, learn how to live together, because that also helped us now when we're actually paying bills and we're in an apartment on our own. Now we got to see, like, what our bad habits are before we were to move in, and to kind of get used to living together before we signed a lease together.
We've had so many different plans just because when we were long distance, it's like the only thing we had to look forward to was the future. So we were always just talking about, like, we're going to move to this state and do this. We're going to have this many kids, this many dogs. We're going to buy a house here. We're going to have this car. Because that's the only thing that brought us joy in a relationship at that time, because we couldn't do anything simple together. Like, nothing. So everything was just future-based, which did get us through that for sure. I think that's the only thing that got us through that. Like, that's just all we talked about was the future.
Yeah.
But it also wasn't very realistic because, you know, like, we were still so young. We couldn't just, like, move in for the first time and buy a house and have children and all this stuff. So being able to live with her family, I think, was a very great, like, segue into living on our own for sure. Also, like, there's, of course, struggles of living there, like, being a couple. There's just, like, it's hard. Like, we had freedom, but it's like you also have, like, things that you have to, you know, like, we felt weird sometimes, like, holding hands in front of her family, not because like they cared, but just because we cared, you know, like, we just didn't want to be, like, too much or too showy or anything like that. But I was gonna say also, we literally, like, lived in your tiny bedroom,
Childhood bedroom.
which you know, like
It's very small.
you would think that we would have went insane having to be that close together. Like now we live in New York City where our apartment is still small, but we do fortunately have a one bedroom where we can separate if we need to. But it's just like wild to think about, like we literally were living in like a square and
I
we
know.
were so happy.
Yeah, it doesn't really take much to make us happy, honestly.
Yeah.
And New York City was always something that we talked about and thought that we wanted, and I definitely think it was still, and it is still. And now we're here. We made it. We did it. Like literally, we can go into detail on this in another video, but moving here is like absolutely like the most stressful thing you could ever possibly do. Like we thought, you know what, maybe I remember we brought up to my parents that we wanted to move, or we wanted to stay in an Airbnb just to see like what it would feel like staying in like an apartment and like getting groceries and stuff. And like my parents were so upset about the idea because of COVID and everything, and they were just
Yeah.
like, well, you guys can't be going and doing this when I'm working and this. And so we were like, oh, well, this is just so awful. And
Yeah.
so literally 2 days later, we went down to the city and tried to find apartments because we were like, all right, well, I guess maybe that is stupid to stay in an Airbnb for a month instead of just moving there. So we ended up coming here and we toured about 3 apartments. And I remember this apartment that we're in right now, I was so in love with it from the start when I saw it on Street Easy. And literally like 3 days later we signed the lease and we were moving in. Like
Things happen so
it's
quick here.
I think we had like about a week. Like we signed it, we had like 4 days left, and then we were here, like, which is crazy. And now in one more month it'll be a full year that we've been here, which is so insane.
Wild.
So
And
insane.
now we have no idea
Learned a
what we're
lot.
doing.
Yeah.
We won't go too into that, but basically, people's rent in New York City are going up like
Skyrocketed.
$1,000. So we have no idea what ours is going up to yet, but
Yeah.
that's obviously something that's been constantly on our mind. Which, let me just say, like that's probably the next thing about like moving in together is we are sharing expenses. Like
Yeah, and
we're
I have a
splitting bills.
shopping issue. I used to be a lot
You're
worse,
a lot better.
but I'm still now I think it's become food. Now that I moved out, I'm like, okay, well, my mom is like an amazing cook, so she would always make bomb ass dinners. So like
She
I
did.
wanted to go out every now and then, but like I also like had a dinner being made for me. I'm very lucky. So that was amazing. But now I'm like, oh, well, I don't have a dinner being made for me. I have to make it, unfortunately. So now it's like, okay, well, I'm lazy and I don't want to cook, so let's just eat out and let's eat out. And of course in New York City you have like some of the best restaurants
Ever.
in the world, and you're walking home from work and you're smelling something that smells so good, and it's just every corner is so tempting. So it's been rough. I'm gonna leave it at that. It's been really hard to try and budget out money and like try to eat at home, because it's also just like the amount of money that we spend on groceries is insane, and it honestly equals the same amount as eating out like 3 times in the week.
It feels that way. I know it's actually not, but sometimes like if I want to make
That
like
should
a
be
nice
adding up.
sometimes if I want to make a nice meal, I go to the store and literally get the ingredients for one recipe, and it ends up being the price
$80.
as Chipotle. Like I could have just got a Chipotle bowl
It's crazy.
and called it a day.
So that's been difficult, but we slowly are getting better, honestly, probably because we have to
Yeah.
be. But I definitely this year want to try and get better at money management. But I definitely think we did pretty well for the circumstances being, and
for our first time moving out.
first time moving out. Yeah, I honestly didn't think we'd make it to the end of our lease. I thought we'd be on the street.
Well,
but
okay,
we
a
did.
backstory as well is that
Wow.
bless you.
Thank you.
But we moved here mainly because Isabel got a job. Like, New York is crazy because you have to make 40 times your rent.
Yes.
Or if you don't make that, then you have to have a guarantor that makes 80 times the rent, which is just very unrealistic. But anyways, Isabel is kind of the reason we got here because she landed a full-time job. It ended up being terrible, and she no longer is there.
Absolutely awful.
But we've had, I don't know what people think about us. Like, sometimes I want to do one of those videos where it's like, send your assumptions about us and we'll like tell you if they're true or not. But I don't know what people think about us. I feel like people probably think anyone who has like an Instagram or a TikTok is like rich. I feel like I think that about other people, but it is so not true. The amount of jobs we went through this year, because New York City is so competitive.
I think I had 4 jobs last year.
I've
like
had
me doing my
one.
taxes this year is gonna suck because I've never had so many jobs in like such few amounts of months in my life.
Yeah, and it's like it's hard too because we have to work and have jobs obviously to pay our rent, but it's also hard because like there was a time where she was working two jobs and we like hardly ever saw each other, so then it's just like then our social media is lacking because we're not able to post as much or at all for certain days because we aren't together and our brand is being together. So
which is
it's
hard
to like
if you're gonna like this is a whole another episode if you guys want us to talk about this more, but just like being a couple on social media, if you are in a relationship and you're thinking of like doing social media like together, I'm like all for that for you, but it's definitely so hard if like you do have to work a regular job and you guys are separated and then you come back together. One person got off 7 hours ago, so is obviously in a great mood, and the other person literally just got off at like 8 o'clock at night, and it was such a long way to get home, and you're just not in the mood to do a stupid TikTok, and like the other person just feels down because like they got off like 10 hours ago, so they're like pumped and ready to go. They have all these videos, and it's just it's very difficult. But that's a whole that's a
good video. Like, we're huge mental health advocates because we both go through things from time to time, and so that is, I think that has to be a video that we do. Like,
if you guys want that as the next video, just let us know.
Yeah, like just how we support one another when we're going through some mental health stuff.
And we're just really good at like when someone's down, bringing the other person back up and not letting that ruin the day or ruin anything.
But
like
it is hard though. Like,
it is hard.
One of us is down, like if she's down and I'm like, I come home and I'm like, hell yeah, like I'm so motivated, let's make 5 YouTube videos, 5,000
take
TikToks,
pictures,
whatever, and she's not in the mood, then I'm kind of like, ooh, well, I don't want to force her because that's not going to help her get better, and I need her to be better so that we can work as a team and have fun as a couple. And same with her, like sometimes she's super motivated and I'm like moody and not very excited and happy, and then it's hard to not bring each other's mood down because one, we live in this tiny box, and two, we kind of have this as a second job together now, and
that's so crazy.
It is crazy. Sorry about our heater, it is so loud.
Yeah, guys, we live in New York City, so I don't really know how to do the whole noise canceling situation, so you're just gonna have to deal with this. But
is this ASMR? Is this gonna sound like ASMR if I do this? Wait, you know how the girlies are like, oh my god, that gives me chills. Okay. Continue.
Okay, wow. Back to moving in together. We gotta stay on topic, lady. She's not used to these podcast situations. We usually edit everything out, and then by the time you watch our vlogs, we sound like little robots. But this is the real us.
This is the real us.
You guys are not getting any editing out of this. You are feeling our stress and our anxiety and us going blank-minded and just having nothing in our brain because there's just so much going on in life in general. So back to moving in together.
So back to what I was saying. I will say, like you said earlier, when we moved with your parents, like, we got to find out our habits and what we do.
I don't ever put my clothes away. I just throw them all over the place.
I don't either.
And now you're getting it just as bad as me.
I have a pile of clothes on the bench.
I know.
for
I
Depop
wanted
that I
her to do
haven't.
Depop just in case we have to move, and she literally,
I
it's
uploaded 5
just.
clothes and the rest is just
I
sitting
told
there.
her let's just put them back in the hangers in the closet because I just feel like this is not gonna happen tomorrow. She's like, no, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. It's fine. It's fine. Mind you,
It's probably
that
been
was
a
a
week.
month ago.
It's been
That
a
was a
week.
month
It was
ago.
not a month.
That was a
It
month
was
ago,
not a month.
sweetheart. That was a
It
month
was
ago.
not a month.
And it's still just sitting there. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a dead mouse in it.
Babe, shut up. um, no, but I will say though, I feel like this is not a good thing, but I feel like we do have the same habits. Like, I feel like we're both.
morphing into the same person.
I feel like
for
we're
sure.
both like not super
Well.
clean people. Like, even I knew that when we first moved in together. Our room at your parents' house
Well,
was
let's
so
not go
scary.
into detail, but it was
No, I'm not going into
definitely
detail.
not good.
But
It
I'm
was
just
not a
saying
good
that, like,
situation.
because some couples, like, one person is like super clean, neat all the time, and the other person is dirty, and then they like clash and argue about that. But
Yeah.
for us, we're chilling because we're both the same. But that's also not a good thing because then we aren't holding each
You
other
know what
accountable.
I've realized though?
What?
I don't know if this is like a new habit I've come up with, but I've noticed that when I'm sad or when you're angry, I just start cleaning the house.
You do.
I don't know why.
You
I
really
just
do.
like I think I just don't know what to do with myself, so I just start like cleaning like a maniac, which is not a bad thing, but it kind of scares me when I realize like I'm sad and I just start like sweeping the floors, or like when you're sad and you don't want to talk to me, I'm just like okay, and then I just start like cleaning.
I mean,
I don't
that's
know.
not a bad coping mechanism.
Like yesterday when you were sad and you were crying,
I know.
cleaned off the couch.
You know, that made me cry more because I
You
felt
heard
like
things
you were.
shuffling and
I thought you were doing it for me, and then that made
Oh,
me
no.
like hate myself more
Oh
than I
my
did in the
God.
moment.
Oh
No,
my
I'm
God.
like not kidding. Okay, another topic about moving out is one thing that we did not really get when we lived with your parents, but we did when we were long distance is like alone time.
Yeah. I had way too much alone time,
Yeah.
but I still do.
Which
Like-
is like you need alone time in a relationship, and I know it probably seems like we're always together, and we pretty much are, like, for sure.
Oh yeah, we're
I
pretty
also
down.
think we should talk about in a video codependency, because I feel like we do have I do think we are too close sometimes, like
Mhm.
unhealthy close. I also do think that's a lesbian thing. I
Careful
feel
of the
like
mic.
a lot of girl couples that I see on TikTok and stuff are very just close with each other. I think it's just because like we literally are each other's best friends
Yeah.
and partners all in one, and I feel like there's straight couples obviously that do have that person that feels like a best friend to them and is their partner, but I feel like it's just like more strong in like girl couples. But
That's
they're
a whole.
yeah. When we were long distance, I had so much alone time because I lived with my grandparents, so I wasn't around like my
Mhm.
sisters and like annoyed by them or anything. So I literally had so much quiet time. And then being on FaceTime with her, like we weren't actually together. And when she went to bed, but she would go to bed at like 8 o'clock.
I had a great sleep schedule, and then she frickin' moved in with me, and now I'm just fucked up.
No,
Like,
I'm not kidding you.
I go to bed at like 2 a.m. watching people's lives now. Like,
She would have never done that before.
and I was
literally-
strict, honey. I would go to bed at 10 o'clock every single night. I'd be washed up, teeth brushed, face washed, everything by 10
Actually.
o'clock. And I would be like, bye. And she'd be up blasting music.
Yeah, and we were long
singing,
distance,
and
so
I woke up feeling great.
I could literally just go on mute and do whatever I wanted.
Now I look like this all the time. Bags under my
Stop.
eyes, all dark face, everything, and just sad
Oh my
all the
gosh.
time. No energy.
Okay, to continue this, since you're trying to wrap it up on me.
Yeah.
But when we moved in together at her parents' house, I feel like I have so much hair product on my fingers. So ugly. But when we moved in with her parents,
you again.
you had alone time because you were just in school pretty much. So when I was at work full time, babe,
Sorry.
you're getting distracted because we're at the end. But she had a lot of alone time, and I didn't really because I was always at work. And as an introvert and someone with anxiety, I was just always struggling, and I need my alone time. But I'd be coming home and then sharing a 2 foot feet square, 2 square
2 foot
feet,
2 foot feet. She
feet.
says.
2 square feet room, square
Yes.
foot room
There you go.
with her. Unfortunately, just kidding. But I didn't have a lot of alone time or time to process my emotions that I am always feeling. So,
And you still don't, because our schedules are pretty close to each other, and you have
Yeah.
such a long commute.
yeah,
but you
like,
definitely have more than you did back then. That's
yeah,
for
because
sure.
it was like, even if you were at school, it was like your family was there, and I just sometimes felt like anxious about that.
Yeah.
But now that I have my own place, I've been, I would say, so much more mentally well than I've ever been, probably, because of that. And the days where I am home, especially days where, like, you work in the morning and I don't work at all, and
Yeah.
then, like, I get to, like, wake up on my own and make myself breakfast, like, it just feels so good. And, like, that alone time is key to relationship, for sure. And yeah, that's something that moving out and getting our own apartment, I think, really did give us.
Now, if you guys have made it this far, which I'm highly doubting you didn't, I probably should have put this at the beginning, but maybe I'll put this clip at the beginning. If you guys like this video, I want you guys to either message us on Instagram or message us down below with more topic ideas of what you would want us to do. And maybe, like, we can even have, like, at the beginning or the end, like, have, if you have any, like, questions that you want, like, maybe if we, like, post on Instagram, like, what the topic is going to be, and then have questions for us relating to that topic, and then we can, like, shout out people.
Yeah, I was
towards the
thinking about
beginning.
having,
And,
or
like, show
giving a
your
shout out.
user and stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking of giving people a shout out. Like, if you don't want your username said, we can just say your first name and just say shout out to, like, the Ace family.
But wouldn't that
would
just,
do.
like, be cool? Like, if they brought in some questions relating, like,
Yeah.
we talk about it, and then we have the questions from, like, our followers, and, like, kind of, like, interacting with you guys
Yeah.
a little bit more. And you could do that on our Instagram or just in the comments below. But I have no idea how long this is, so I am so sorry if this is, like, 40 minutes long. But
That's what
I
podcasts are.
love watching podcasts. I watched Emma Chamberlain's podcast for an hour and a half, and I absolutely loved it. I could watch people talk forever. So hopefully we weren't too boring. Hopefully we weren't too crazy and all over the place. I'm sure our next one will be a lot more structured and a little bit better. But and I hope the sound is okay. I know the heater is so freaking loud. So just bear with us because it's winter here. But we love you guys so much. Thank you for always being here and dealing with the construction of this channel.
Oh my gosh, I know.
We love you so much, and maybe we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, let us know what you thought about our first podcast. This is really exciting. But bye.